with a direct link. And so I hope someone will also join from the stream into the call, because we have like more than 2,000 subscribers there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Why not to use this channel as well, you know? We should be live now. Okay. So hi everyone, how you doing? Say hi, where are you from? What are you doing currently?
Hi. Okay, Victor is at a motel and has very low bandwidth. Yeah. His video and mic aren't working.
But hopefully it's a good model, you know, at least.
Yeah. Maybe if the other people want to introduce themselves here a little. Anutosh is a software developer from India. I'm a software developer from Germany. Karen?
I'm no one living in Germany. I don't have any specific designation, I guess.
So, anyone else who wants to join a little?
Sumit is from cloudy London. Greetings to cloudy London.
Nice. Hi. Okay.
Okay, so
there's no one else joining right
people
now.
will probably like jump into the call as we go, so that's a usual thing. Just please have an eye for to admit them. Arthur is from Frankfurt. Nice.
Hi.
So Lucas, what's the plan for today?
Yeah, first we will kind of find a kind of structure of how we want to go forward with this kind of series, and our goal is to learn React and also Next.JS in how long it takes, and yeah. And our goal is to use this series to build our community homepage with like interactive features such as event registration and kind of like meetup.com, but for our own community.
Yeah, it's a standalone.
Just standalone version.
Yeah, not even meetup, just a standalone community website.
Yeah.
Whatever you can imagine there, like list of
events. Like platform based, but just for
just
for this community.
Because currently our homepage, like we have footprints in almost every network and social network, but I would say our homepage is more or less this meetup section on the meetup, you know, and it's not always working, and it's not our fault as well that it's not working. It's just the platform is buggy. But anyways, you know, we have a domain. It's a cloudstudy.net. And we would like to have like a membership site where for our members, we would like to have a blog going on where you members can publish your whatever research ideas, whatever you want. And other things like the events should be listed there as well. And maybe some other things, and we are like absolutely open to any ideas whatsoever. But do this, like how to do this now. I am a PHP guy, and no one likes PHP, you know, and the old people like me. So it's definitely the old school is not the way to go. I guess it's not scalable. It's really painful in many cases. That's why we want to go with something up to date, like something more scalable, something more reliable. And the idea here is to use the Jamstack. Jamstack, if you don't know it, just look it up. We will have more and more sessions on this technology. It's amazing. Lucas, I have to mute you for just a short time because I can hear myself. Probably it's just doubling on the screen as well.
Yeah, I have a little bit of problems with my mic and speakers.
Okay, cool. So yeah, it's all about Jamstack, and I guess the Next.JS is one of the most popular frameworks which runs or uses as a Jamstack concept, by at least by GitHub stars. It's an open source project as well. So, and it's supported by the company called Vercel, which is a Jamstack hosting provider, I would say. That's how we lost one member right now. But that's fine. That's fine. I told yesterday there was another call. I told that today will be kind of boring for many people, probably, because it's just not everyone's thing, you know. But yeah. Now Clara is back.
She's back.
Yes, very cool. We were bragging that you left probably because we are too boring with these topics, you know. But yeah. So the task here is to build a homepage for community website with Jamstack at first, but then we picked Next.js as one of the most popular and modern frameworks, you know. So what the problem is Next.js, or the specifics with Next.js, it uses React. No one from us knows React. Now we have to learn React as well. React is a primarily front-end framework based on not JavaScript, it's a TypeScript. It's a slightly different language. There are some kind of relation. It's, I guess, and correct me, Lucas, if I'm wrong, I guess it's a subset of JavaScript, or
it's a superset of JavaScript, yeah, with
so it means
many more features like
more stuff to learn than JavaScript.
like object orientation and classes that don't hurt when using it instead of, and also types. That's where the name comes from. And yeah, we want.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, with our community homepage, we want to start building it with React.js and then try to switch some parts where it's possible to server-side rendering with Next.js, and therefore use like more of the paradigms of the Jamstack. Yeah. And Clara has raised her hand. Do I have to unmute her?
Clara, I think you can just unmute yourself if you want, or maybe you were going through the buttons there, like to see how it works. That's also fine. Don't worry. You don't have to raise hand, anyone in the call. You just feel free to jump in anytime.
Yeah. I just physically raised it.
Yes.
No, sorry. Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah, it was a mistake. Okay.
Anatosh is writing, I know React, it is a library of JavaScript. You know, that's wrong, probably, just from the definition. So it's not just JavaScript, it's a TypeScript, so it's a superset. It's brighter than JavaScript. It's more to learn, basically. And I don't think it's just purely a library. I think you would call it probably more precisely as name it as a framework, I guess, right, Lucas?
I think so. I mean, I used to call like all those things frameworks. I used to work with AngularJS and AngularDart long time ago, but I since then have forgotten nearly all of it. Yeah. And so React is a fresh new start for me. And yeah, but I saw on GitHub that it's mostly developed in JavaScript without TypeScript. Maybe he's right, and TypeScript is just like makes it more enjoyable to use or better to use instead of just plain JavaScript. Yeah.
But is there also TypeScript indicated in as a language in the repository?
I mean, you can always write TypeScript with it because TypeScript just compiles to JavaScript, so it should be always possible. Yeah.
I'm just thinking maybe GitHub system is recognizing JavaScript, no, TypeScript as a JavaScript I don't know. That's why. But otherwise, it could be also that the code is developed in Node.js and it says that it's a JavaScript. I have no idea, but
Yeah.
I would be very surprised because like the official definition is that it uses TypeScript. And this is what I would expect from it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I think they aren't enforcing like TypeScript, but maybe it's good practice, or maybe not recommended, but lots of people use it together with TypeScript.
Could be that just GitHub is messing a little bit TypeScript with JavaScript. So once there is a code which is both, basically, it would indicate that it's a JavaScript.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My wild guess.
Yeah. Could be. Yeah.
So that's it for today.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. See you soon.
Thank you, everyone. It was a great conversation.
Yeah. Okay. I think the next natural step would be to tap into the tutorial or documentation of React. Yeah. And I'm not sure, I haven't even installed anything, and yeah.
I'm not even sure if you have to install anything.
This
is the level where we are.
Yeah, okay. I know it from like other frameworks. I know like from if you use like frameworks that use something like WebKit or any other thing to bootstrap your application, or like I used to do a lot of dark web development. You had like some CLI tools that you needed to compile your application, but maybe it's also possible to do it in like an online playground, because I saw now on the React homepage that they have like some different kinds of getting started, and there are online playgrounds like CodePen, Code Sandbox, or StackBlitz. I guess StackBlitz is the online IDE you mentioned earlier, Karen. I guess it's based on Visual Studio Code or something like that.
I think it was StackBlitz or something like very, very similar. What the guy used. I attended one class or one workshop with React, but then I completely forgot everything. And I usually like don't stay like mentally in the whole workshop. At some middle of the workshop, I just go into my ideation and just cannot catch up anymore. But yeah, if there is definitely there is a CodePen recommended here. StackBlitz. I don't know. Let's just pick one what we are comfortable with, which also maybe works without registration, because I guess CodePen to save
CodePen sounds fine because I already used it for some code snippets.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe let's try that. Okay. We have some kind of hello world application here. Okay. Let's see if they have like a more fully fledged tutorial how to use it.
You went with a CodePen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is someone else joining? Hi. Mm-hmm.
Okay. With some of these web IDs, there is already like preset environment for specific frameworks. I don't know if it's a case with CodePen, and someone wrote into the chat that CodePen is more like for code snippets. It was Anutosh.
Yeah.
Oh no, Sumit was it?
Yeah, but maybe it's enough if we just write like some really basic things with
settings
today. Yeah, let me just rearrange my browser windows. Okay,
Oh, you mean just to link to the library, if it's a library?
Yeah. it's
React.
already linked to it, like React DOM and React development. Yeah. Okay. I guess that's maybe a good way to start. Okay. Should we just walk through like a basic tutorial, or
Lucas, let's share the link to the place where you are right now in React tutorial documentation. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
post it into the chat so that people will be able to follow.
Yeah. A second. There we are. Okay.
Okay. Someone in our stream chat is recommending to use Code Sandbox because it has some template. Someone, yeah, Anutosh also recommended Code Sandbox. Lucas, we have 2 voices for Code Sandbox. You should really consider it now.
I'm opening it, and it looks a little bit nicer than CodePen. Yeah. Doesn't look bad. Maybe we should really consider that. Okay, I will share this tab instead. It looks a little bit better. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then let's get started with some kind of tutorial.
We have 4 people watching the stream right now. I just posted the URL to the call. So if you want to be more interactive, and attend the call itself, feel free to switch from the stream to the call. It's up to you. You can also stay in the stream.
Yeah, should we switch to the tutorial instead, or should I try like a side-by-side layout? Everything
with the Code Sandbox, right?
Yeah. It's a little bit too narrow, I think. Okay. Maybe it's better if we share just one tab at once. Okay. Let me just switch back to the other one. Okay, there is an intro to... Yeah, Sumit told he is a bit more advanced on React and was looking for more structure to this. Yeah, and he's jumping out for now, but yeah, this is basically a really, really basic session, and we want to get an overview today. And if there are some people who are more expert in this, then please also feel free to contribute and tell us something about React and like.
Yet, and also in generally, this live coding sessions, it's nothing like what will be presented here. We just stumble upon stuff, learn stuff ourselves here, trying to solve problems. So it's more like, but you know what? You can also jump in anytime. And
yeah, it's a learning group. It's not like like anything structured or moderated.
I mean, don't expect very much, Especially don't expect structure here. There will be definitely no structure, other than you will come and make structure here.
Yeah, if you want to like give us all some kind of introduction, feel free to step up. Yeah. Okay. So, but if not, let's start with the intro to the tutorial. I just post the link so everyone can read at their own tempo. And their own pace and doesn't have to rely on my scrolling speed. Yeah. Should we like set a timer for reading a little bit in the documentation and then?
So what's Lucas? What's the strategy here? We stick to documentation and we use Code Sandbox just to apply the stuff which will be asked in the documentation, right? Because I see at the Code Sandbox there is also like the full-blown tutorial, I guess, for React. It's I'm just posting here. Don't be frustrated. I'm just posting where I am right now at Code Sandbox. It's React new at the end, the URL.
Yeah.
But I don't know which one is really better. I guess we can start as you picked with the tutorial. But then
and they have like their own starter code, which opens like a code pen.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And they have like those squares, and I guess we are going to develop a kind of tic-tac-toe game today with in this tutorial. Yeah.
Sounds great.
I guess the first point to set up for the tutorial is basically done if we are using it in the cloud and not locally on our machines. Yeah. Because I will maybe not install the whole of React on my computer today, but will start with that later on if I have like bigger applications I'm creating with it. Yeah.
So Lucas, we are at this tutorial intro to React. Then we go and read with a chapter before we start the tutorial, or where are you right now?
I'm at a setup. Oh, I'm not sharing this tab. Setup for the tutorial, and I guess everyone can like open the starter code here, which is basically a plain a starting point for a tic-tac-toe game. And yeah.
Okay.
But I guess the setup is done. But we can maybe like read what are we building. This tutorial will show how to build an interactive tic-tac-toe game. You can see what we'll be building here, final result. I'm not opening it now. Yeah. Maybe let's like see if everyone has read that first part and prerequisites and all of that stuff. And yeah.
So it seems like with React, the important thing is what they call component or components. Oh, it's library indeed. Sorry. I'm sorry, Anutosh. I kind of wrongly corrected you because it states here in the tutorial as well that it's a library actually.
Okay. Has everyone opened like the starter code and is ready to?
Let's just jump into the starter code.
Yeah. Because with that, I guess we are.
But it's at CodePen, right?
Yeah. I guess if that's what they choose for the tutorial, maybe we should stick to that and maybe use in the later sessions if we really have something we build ourselves. So it's okay with everyone, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because Code Sandbox seems to be really very advanced for learning these different frameworks, but it's a different tutorial. We if we go with the one at their homepage, then let's then use the code pen.
Yeah.
But you can, if you want, you can switch to the tab of code pen, or like I guess it will be more interesting than the
Yeah, but maybe we would like give some time for everyone to read like the overview of React, and then let's wrap it up together or something like this, and then start like really with the development in some minutes.
Okay.
I will read it on my own pace, and yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
We are here right now, by the way.
What is it, Lucas? Oh, you just shared the link. Okay. Lucas, this tutorial is pretty huge. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I see. It's a lot.
And I'm not sure we will wrap our minds in this session around it, you know.
Should we like see if there is better explanation like of components and how to build them in the docs?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just simulating some game here, what is kind of nice. But then it's not exactly our case, I guess, or it's just as an example. I guess it's fun.
Yeah. But now, should we like vote if we want to continue?
I'm just thinking maybe we could jump into, I don't know, just a wild suggestion here, and I don't have very strong opinion about it, but kind of, yeah, it was pretty noisy for a period of time. So maybe we can jump into Next.js first, and then, or it will be completely messy. What do you think?
Let's like let everyone vote what we should do. Can someone see the poll I created?
Where is it? Oh, it's somewhere there on another tab. Yeah, okay.
Why can't I see my poll? Basically, what we want to learn is what React does, what its like the main concepts are, and I don't know if you want to if you all want to continue with the tutorial, which seems pretty huge, or if we should like try to learn it more by the basic concepts and try writing a little bit on, and or just like discussing the main concepts here. Are there some responses?
It just
Main concepts.
Yeah,
People vote.
I guess two votes is just you and me, I guess, right?
Yeah. I couldn't even vote.
You couldn't. Okay, then someone and me.
I guess then it's 3-2-0. Yeah.
So what main concepts of what? Of Next.js, of
React.
Of React,
and
okay.
I guess it's JSX, which is like this kind of weird form of JavaScript where you can mix it with HTML elements or write HTML elements in it. I guess you can see it on my screen. You can do things like that, which you can normally not do with normal HTML or JavaScript. And then rendering elements is another part, components and props, which are like the attributes for every component. And then maybe we can go to state and lifecycle, but I wouldn't like think that we can finish all of the basic concepts. Maybe it's just better to focus on JSX rendering component elements and components today. I don't know what you think.
By the way, can you share the link where you are right now?
Yeah, I'm at docs/hello world. Here we go. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I guess this is maybe the right thing to do. Learn concepts step by step. If you prefer learn by doing, about our practical tutorial, maybe that's better if we can, because we can now set our pace much better than with the other tutorial.
Did you see this on the top? There is the smallest React example looks like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they have a link to CodePen. Try it on CodePen below. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it works there. It's just saying hello world, what is cool. But I don't see any references to any libraries there. I don't know how it works.
Okay, maybe I can show you that. They have, if you go to settings, then you go to JS, and then you see that you have like some dependencies from unpackaged.
Okay, I see here two external scripts.
That should be it. Yes.
Okay, and HTML. It's nothing there, right? HTML is empty. And CSS is also empty. So it's only just purely JS what is linked there.
Yeah. I guess that's only like the basics of React. It's including there like the virtual DOM that we are using here. What you can also see in the example, and also like all of the components and all of those predefined things that are with React. Yeah. Okay. I will share the documentation instead now. And
how to read this guide, knowledge level. Let's get started. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe we will also like set a timer for 2 or 3 minutes to.
Yeah, Lucas, we can actually read out loud. What do you think?
No.
No,
we can do that.
Okay.
What if you want? You can do it.
Yeah, I can.
It's fine. I feel like a little bit like in school. It's interesting.
Yeah, but then we are all on the same page, you know, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not quiet in the call then.
Yeah.
So where should we start?
Maybe, I mean, the first thing isn't really that. It's just one example that shows like the hello world with React, but I guess where it really starts is how to read this guide.
In this guide, we will examine the building blocks of React apps, elements and components. So we have elements and components. Okay, interesting. Once you master them, you can create complex apps from small reusable pieces. Whenever I read it from your screen, it's kind of a little bit too small, but can you just, yeah, that's better. Tip. This guide is designed for people who prefer learning concepts step by step. If you prefer to learn by doing, check out our practical tutorial. Oh, interesting. You might find this guide and the tutorial complementary to each other. Did we check out the practical tutorial as well?
Yeah, that was basically the tic-tac-toe game that was so long.
It was the plan A, which didn't work.
Yeah, maybe that's something for like for the evenings where you have like unlimited time and no disturbance.
Okay, this is the first chapter in a step-by-step guide about main React concepts. You can find the list of all its chapters in the navigation sidebar. If you are reading this from a mobile device, you can access the navigation by pressing the button in the bottom right corner of your screen. Yeah, hopefully no one is on the mobile device. But yeah, it also works, seems like. Every chapter in this guide builds on the knowledge introduced in earlier chapters. You can learn most of React by reading the main concepts guide chapters in the order they appear in the sidebar. For example, introducing JS6 in the next chapter after this one. Knowledge level assumptions. I think we can skip it because we don't have much choice, right? I mean, we have the knowledge level, but we have. Let's get started. Let's get to the next chapter. Yeah, let's get started. Keep scrolling down, and you will find the link to the whatever next blah blah blah. Okay, introducing JS6. Consider this variable declaration: constant element equal h1 tag hello world h1 closing tag. So yeah, the element constant, it's not a variable, it's a constant, it equals to this expression, what is, I would assume it's a string. So we have a constant string here with this value. Okay. This funny tag syntax is neither a string nor HTML. Okay.
Directly contradicting what you just said.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
interesting. What it is then? No idea. It's called JS6, and it's a syntax extension to JavaScript. Okay. So I guess we can think of it as a JavaScript. Whatever.
It's like also maybe like a superset of it that combines like this HTML and maybe also CSS features into JavaScript and then compiles them to normal JavaScript and HTML.
So, but it's not also, it's not a TypeScript, right?
No, it's just
whatever it is.
like another extension to JavaScript.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we recommend using it with React to describe what the UI should look like. JS6 may remind you of a template language, but it comes with the full power of JavaScript. Okay, JS6 produces React elements. We will explore rendering them to the DOM. What is DOM again?
It's basically like your HTML tag structure, like the HTML tag tree. That is basically.
Let's look up what it is exactly. It's I think it's a object model or something like this.
Yeah, document object model or something like that.
Okay.
And it's basically the parsed and object version of your HTML file that you are using or manipulating in the browser.
Yeah, so it's an object representation of your page, whatever it is, of a web page, right? Okay, great. So we will explore rendering them to the DOM in the next section. Below, you can find the basics of JS6 necessary to get you started. Okay, why JS6? React embraces the fact that rendering logic is inherently coupled with other UI logic. Okay, how events are handled, how the state changes over time, and how the data is prepared for display. Instead of artificially separating technologies by putting markup and logic in separate files, React separates concerns. What's concerns? This loosely coupled unit is what's concerns? I'm really asking myself now, but okay, let's go.
They link to a Wikipedia article. Maybe I can. Computer science separation of concerns, SOC, the design principle for separating a computer program into distinct sections. Such addresses a separate concern. I guess that's not like with normal web development, you separate like HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So if you like write one component that has, then you have it in 3 different files or at 3 different places, and they want to make it more like component based. So you have one component that does one thing, and this is all at one position in your program. So you haven't separated it like you normally would have with web development, where you have a separate CSS file that does like the styling for your component. Then you have a separate file that does like the HTML for your component, and a separate file that contains all of the logic. But there you have it at one place, and yeah.
Okay. Still not very clear, but let's see. Maybe it will be more obvious, like as we continue. So React separates concerns with loosely coupled units called components that contain both in the meaning of logic and markup. Okay.
Yeah.
We will come back to the components in a further section. But if you are not yet comfortable putting markup in JavaScript, this talk might convince you otherwise. What is it? This talk probably like linked to YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly. But
okay, yeah, we don't have to go there now.
Yeah,
but maybe
open
something like for later once you
yeah
maybe like just before you go to sleep you can watch a video or so.
Yeah.
React doesn't require using JS6, but most people find it helpful as a visual aid when working with UI inside the JavaScript code. It also allows React to show more useful error and warning messages. With that out of the way, let's get started. But you know what? I'm surprised I don't see very much of TypeScript here, references to TypeScript.
No.
It looks like they're using like underneath the JavaScript itself. I completely messed up. I don't know like what's which framework is using actually TypeScript. Is it Angular?
Angular is using TypeScript.
Okay. Why I kept saying that it's a React is using TypeScript? I don't know.
I mean, there are lots of apps that are built with TypeScript using React, but they don't enforce it. Maybe we can also start at a later point to use TypeScript, because there's lots of features that are really nice to use and really make sense.
Yeah, but let's at least stick to JavaScript at this point, because it will be a new Jamstack framework, Next.JS, new JavaScript framework, and then a new superset of JavaScript or TypeScript. It will be too many new things.
We're learning a lot of things in the next weeks, I guess. In the whole of React, then also therefore like modern JavaScript with ES6 and all of that stuff. And then we learn Next.JS, and we learn TypeScript, and what else? We're also building applications with it at the same time. It's a lot to do. Forward.
Yeah, let's continue. Embedding expressions in JSX. In the example below, we declare a variable called name, and then use it inside JSX by wrapping it in curly braces. Constant name equal Josh Perez. Okay. So yeah, it's kind of clear. This time, I guess name is a string, right? I would expect at least. Then constant element equal, and then comes this funny HTML code, without any quote marks.
But the interesting thing here is that you can also use like variables as templates in there. With those curly braces.
Yeah, it looks very much like template, right?
Yeah.
hello name, and name is in the curly braces, what is interesting. So it's, oh yeah, and that name is a constant in our case. So basically it should output, if we execute it, like hello Josh Perez, right? Okay, and then React.
Should we try that example in our? We somewhere have a code pen that I'm sharing now, and look what it does.
It takes a few seconds. Yeah, it exactly does what we wanted.
Yeah, perfectly.
But let's see what actually executes it. You know, we have this function, I guess we can call it. It's React DOM dot render, and then the first input element is the element, what is equal to our template from before, and the second one is document get element by ID root. That's, I have to just grasp it how it works. Let's see. So it renders the template, element template, and what is the second argument? Document get element by ID root.
I guess that is like where it should like set up the virtual DOM.
It's probably the like mothership element of the DOM, right?
Yeah, it's using like the non-virtual, like the literal DOM, a DOM as a like entry point, and builds like the. Maybe you can also put like different like DOMs into your application. Let's try that if that works. Can we open like our HTML? Okay, you see we have like a root. Then let's put like root 2 there.
Oh, that explains a lot. So root is actually just a div element with its ID called root.
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought something. Yeah.
Let's try something like that. Or maybe we should like do it also with the other one. If we, I'm really interested if that like works. It's
Yeah.
Okay, and let's see if we can then open the JavaScript console. We like can do that kind of stuff. Ah, nice. Now we have like two different React DOMs, two virtual DOMs in our normal DOM. That's really interesting.
I don't think these are DOMs. I think there's only one DOM on the page.
Yeah, but React DOM is a kind of virtual DOM that React uses to render all of the elements and so on into it. Yeah. Interesting.
But it renders, like Lucas, I think it renders everything into one DOM, into one React DOM. It's the same element. It's the same like mothership element, you know. And then you pick these two different divs with its you write the content to it, you know.
Yeah.
But like, I think we should say that it's just one DOM, but two elements like within DOM, which are being manipulated with our code.
Yeah.
But then it should, yeah, you should call it differently, like element 2 exactly.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe let's switch back to the tutorial.
Sure.
Now we know how this virtual DOM renders things. that the first argument is the actual element or template, or however you want to call it, and the second one is like the route where it should render it into the actual HTML file. It's like
It's where it goes, right?
point.
Like
Yeah.
the second argument is where it goes, and the first argument what goes, like
Yeah.
the object, and then the second one is the destination where it goes. I guess this is like, and yeah, it makes sense. Okay, let's go on. You can put any valid JavaScript expression inside the curly braces in GS6. For example, 2 plus 2. Where is the curly braces?
They
Oh
are.
yeah,
Here.
there. Yeah, name.
You can also try that here once again, like it should work. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Like that. Yeah. Guess I picked the most important number of all. Yeah. But okay, let's switch back.
So basically, in curly braces, everything is just pure JavaScript.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Here are a few examples. 2 plus 2 we already tried. User dot first name, but we don't have. You are too far, Lucas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can see the user first name plus user last name and blank space in between. Where's the user elements? Here is a user constant. Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Format name, and then it's called in the curly braces where you are right now with the mouse. Format name user.
And then we again have React DOM.render at the root of the file. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Try it on CodePen. We already did actually.
Okay. It's also interesting if you write those JSX, you have to put like, I don't know if it's mandatory to put those normal brackets around it, but if you want to write multi-line JSX, you have to put those normal brackets around the code. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, probably just because of the multiple lines. That's why you have to put the boundaries where it begins and when it ends. Okay, dokie.
Yeah.
We split JS6 over multiple lines for readability. While it isn't required when doing this, we also recommend wrapping it in parentheses to avoid the pitfalls of automatic semicolon insertion. Okay.
Yeah, because that I guess that's because JavaScript automatically or sets the semicolons at the end of a line, or they aren't mandatory anymore to put a semicolon at the end of a line, like in other languages, where you have to strictly put a semicolon at the end of each expression.
Yeah. Okay, let's move to the next one. GS6 is an expression 2. Okay, it's an expression. After compilation, GS6 expressions become regular JavaScript function calls and evaluate to JavaScript objects. This means that you can use GS6 inside of if statement and for loops. Assign it to variables, accept it as argument, and return it from functions. So we have a function here, get greeting. and the input variable is user. Then if user returns hello format name user.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will just say hello stranger. Okay.
But what it basically says is that we can do like everything we want to do with those JSX expression. We can use them also as variables, can add them together and all that stuff. It's interesting.
Specifying attributes with JS6. You may use quotes to specify string literals as attributes. Constant element equal, and then we have a div here. Opening and closing div with tab index equals 0.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I didn't want to say anything.
Okay. You may also use curly braces to embed a JavaScript expression in an attribute. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, basically it's like a template, right? You can put it everywhere.
Yeah. It's like similar to those template languages you have with Check, Hugo, or other static site generators or so on.
Don't put quotes around curly braces when embedding a JavaScript expression in an attribute. Okay, interesting. Why? You should either use quotes for string values or curly braces for expressions, but not both in the same attribute. Okay. Then the question, will it then will it add the quotes? For example, here I would love to have quotes, source equal, and some source.
Maybe try that. Let's do something like that. I will share this tab. Let's maybe just try that out if that works. If we have like image, what should we use?
You can just copy it from them if you want.
Yeah, give me just a second. I have an image address I want to use. String. Okay,
that's a good address.
I didn't expect like a data image. I thought I just copied like I wanted to copy the link. Okay. Copy link address once again. Okay. It looks better. Okay. Copy image address. Now I have the image. So okay, we can continue.
That's not a good image.
Okay. Image address. Okay, let's see if it somehow works, but it doesn't look like it will work for some reason. Have I mistyped something here? What is the error here? Unterminated JSX. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to put those.
The closing tag, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that should work. And if we put like that around it, it shouldn't work. My understanding. No,
it's broken. But can you just can you do it without quote marks, and we will can we just go in and inspect this underlying code in the DOM, you know, maybe.
Let's do it like this. Okay, we can't really. Yeah. It will just like a templating engine replace it or render it.
You know, with this web tools, you can actually inspect what's there in the virtual DOM. It's not obviously it's not hard coded anymore anywhere. It's what JavaScript did virtually. But
yeah, can you see my development console?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
If you go like a sub menu and then inspect element, maybe.
I already opened it,
Yeah.
and it's not.
We don't see it because it's another tab probably. But can you see there anywhere this food?
Yeah, I already have it. Let me just try to copy it somewhere in here. Okay, basically what it did is that.
That's beautiful. It means it already without any putting quotes from our side, it actually did it on its own, right? It did it for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about the quote marks.
No.
That's very
because
cool.
I mean it already sees, hey, this is a string, and then it basically cares about that we have this
clean HTML output, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
It's the power of it. Yes.
Because if you go dirty, I think you can in HTML code you can also put it without quotes. It will. Most of the browsers should accept it.
Yeah,
but it's not beautiful. Not probably the validator will not accept it. So it should be. It will be probably a mistake.
No, I also try to write like good HTML code where it always has like those double quotes and conventional syntax for HTML. Yeah.
Okay, so warning here. Since JS6 is closer to JavaScript than to HTML, React DOM uses camel case property naming convention instead of HTML attribute names.
Yeah.
For people, for example, class becomes class name in JS6, and tab index becomes tab index.
Yeah.
But again, a class because it becomes class name. Why they made it from one word like two words? To make it like distinguishable, or it's clear with a tab index. You know, they converted it completely into a camel case. That's clear.
Yeah.
But
I mean that's just a rule that you have to remember. You write also like the normal HTML attributes that are using in JSX that you can write it in that form.
So does it mean that we cannot use a single name property?
We can, but we have to always remember that we have, if that's two words put together, we have to write it in camel case, because that's like a convention for JavaScript development, that you write variable names like that with the camel case naming convention, instead of like in HTML you have like those weird naming conventions that look like this instead of this.
Yeah, I'm fine with this, but only like what concerns me a little bit the first example where they converted the word class from just one word into two words written in camel case. You know, why? I mean, okay, class is not clear if it's just one word. It's not clear what kind of case it is. Is it lowercase or is it supposed to be camel case? You know. Okay.
One word, okay, class gets replaced by class name in JSX, but if you have like other
so you cannot
things that are
use class as a property name.
No, you can. They write there, for example, class becomes class name in JSX, and tab index becomes tab case I and the EX. Like that.
That's interesting.
That are just some exceptions that you may have to remember when writing JSX. And
Okay.
yeah.
Specifying children with JS6. If a
Yeah.
tag is empty, you may close it immediately with a closing tag, yeah, like XML.
Like XML, yeah. That's maybe also important because I made the mistake with the image tag where I close it only with this pointy bracket without this symbol, and it didn't work. So always remember to use those two symbols. Yeah.
Api, by the way, Api Manu wrote in the chat of the stream, class is keyword in JavaScript. You cannot use in JS6.
That makes a lot of sense why they renamed some of the keywords.
Yeah.
Thanks for that comment.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
Let's move.
Specifying children in JSX. Okay.
Yeah. JS6 tags may contain children. Element equal opening div, and then we have h1 there inside and h2 also, and then closing div. Okay, interesting.
And that all in the normal brackets.
Yeah, but it just to me it looks just a snippet of HTML code.
Yeah, that's basically the
with the structure and everything,
Yeah.
So far it like I
just
can only like map it to a template, kind of template, whatever it is, with this curly functionality and so on. JS6 prevents injection attacks. It is safe to embed user input in JS6. Title is equal, no worries. Constant title is equal response potentially malicious input. This is safe. Constant element equal h1 title h1 closing h1. Okay. So we don't have to worry about JS6 like what it bears with itself.
Yeah,
they kind of take care of it, what is nice. By default, React DOM escapes any values embedded in JS6 before rendering them. Okay. Thus, it ensures that you can never inject anything that's not explicitly written in your application. Everything is converted to a string before being rendered. This helps express XSS cross-site scripting attacks.
Yeah, that's really. It's basically also the same issue you also have with like SQL injections, but that's also a thing in browsers when you have that with JavaScript, and it can be injected into a site, and then if it's not properly escaped, it can also be executed and
so basically, you know what?
Malicious.
I guess it means if you want, we can try it out in pen whatever. I forgot the name of the environment. Let's see. It's CodePen. So if we put something there, kind of a reference to, or like a HTML tag as input for JS6, it will probably, yeah.
Let's try something like this. I share this tab. Let me just clean the mess I created in the HTML above. Okay. With that, so bit of drumming to that. Okay. Let's try that. If that gets like inserted. I don't know. Do we really have to make like an example for cross-site scripting? Or should we just like go on? I mean, that's not.
No, it's I thought something like a tag. I don't know, like a tag, referencing something like third party, something external. If it will be embedded in the code, in the output, or it will be displayed just as a text. Like it could be also image, but then I don't know if it will work.
Yeah,
but then we have image there with the source and everything, so it interprets it as a HTML code.
What's that like? Let's see if we can see something here. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, let's just go on with this. We cannot really simulate here.
I'm not the best hacker, and I'm not.
Me neither. So
I would need to read a little bit more about cross-site scripting too.
Yeah.
And I mean, it should even not really work with React DOM, and
I
don't know if we will find any like security bugs in React DOM.
But it's
our
nice
first
to know.
session.
It's nice to know that they kind of take care of it.
Yeah.
JS6 represents objects. Babel compiles JS6 down to React create element calls. What is Babel?
Babel, you can Google that if you want.
I'm not sure they will.
It's also like this is basically a compiler for JavaScript that takes like very modern and compiles it to older versions that are more compatible with older browsers and are backwards compatible. And yeah, I guess it's also, correct me if I'm wrong, but it does things that if you split up your JavaScript into different files, and it also merges them together. Like if you have like imports or require and have many different files that you are using in your development environment, and then to make it browser compatible, it merges the files together according to those, how you include them with each other. Yeah.
It's something exactly. It's the homepage is babelgs.io, and it says Babel is a JavaScript compiler. Use next generation JavaScript today. Okay, well, we know it's a compiler. Okay, great, because they didn't mention it before here, so nice to know. These two examples are identical. So we have here two examples. One is the element equal h1 tag with hello world inside. Another example is element equal react dot create element h1 class name greeting hello world. Okay, the second one is kind of more complicated, I would say.
Yeah, and it's basically what JSX with React does under the hood, that it creates the second code for us and helps us with this easier HTML-like syntax that we can use here. It's really great to see that. Yeah.
So we know it's JS6 is also an object. Okay, great. React create element performs a few checks to help you write bug-free code, but essentially it creates an object like this. Constant element equal one property is type, and it's h1. Another property is props. It's a set with class name equal greeting and children hello world. Okay, so basically, just element is an object, right? With
Yeah.
its own property structure. Okay.
Like a JSON object.
Yeah, looks very much like this. Okay, these objects are called React elements. You can think of them as descriptions of what you want to see on the screen. React reads these objects and uses them to construct the DOM and keep it up to date. Okay, we will explore rendering React elements to the DOM in the next section. Tip, we recommend using the Babel language definition for your editor of choice so that both ES6 and GS6 GS6 code is properly highlighted.
Yeah, that sounds
React elements. So again, like this GS6 objects are React elements, right?
not exactly. JSX are just expressions
Okay.
that make it easier to write HTML inside or HTML-like code, like to write it more in a declarative, easy way. What your mark, it's basically a like easier way to declaratively write your markup inside your HTML inside your JavaScript files. Sorry, I needed some until I got that. Yeah, it's basically a way to write HTML-like code inside JavaScript and not have to split it up into HTML and JavaScript files, but to do this all in JavaScript, inside JavaScript.
But then again, what are the React elements? Like, how would you define them?
React elements are like what gets generated from those JSX expressions. Okay.
So it's a content of the constant. What's const, sir? It's a
Const is like var, but it's like
yeah, but it's not
in
changing.
modern JavaScript you mostly use let and const, and because like most of your variables you want to create are just have a declaration and then don't need to be changed anymore after that, and so they can be mutable, and yeah, so you use const in modern JavaScript instead of var. Yeah.
Oh, because I know const is a constant, and var is variable.
It's basically that, but it's for variables you don't need to change that often.
But you cannot change const. You cannot like reassign another value to the element, or can you?
I think not. But I guess it's just what you are accustomed to see with const, but it's basically if you look at most of the code you write, if you have local declarations of variables, you don't need to change them after you declared them. Basically, for them, you use const. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And okay, let's get back to what.
I think the next chapter is we are done. We should be done here with this one.
Yeah.
Introducing GS6, and next one is rendering elements.
It should now be clear that JSX are expressions that help to easier write, like, yeah.
I strongly like guessing that GS6 stands for JavaScript expression. Just a short word.
Should be, and that then gets compiled down by Babel to React create element, which then are those React elements that we are going to discover more in depth.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't even want to think about what Babel is and whatsoever. It is like it's too much like under the hood of this JavaScript stuff, and I think for now it's I don't know how important it is to know how the car works in this case, but would rather learn how to drive it.
Yeah.
At least for now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so next chapter is rendering elements.
Yeah.
Okay, an element describes what you want to see on the screen. Oh, wait a moment. We skipped a sentence there. Elements are the smallest building blocks of React apps.
Yeah.
Okay. Elements. Okay. But elements are not objects or other.
I guess
Yeah, plain
objects
objects.
is too generic, this term for React.
Mhm.
They're using the term element, and elements can be like made up of JSX, which then gets compiled to those React element under the hood, or you can start off by writing them as react.createElement. Yeah, which is basically the manual way to do this. And yeah.
Okay, let's here's an example. It's constant again element called element equal h1 opening tag and then hello world h1 closing tag. Okay, it's from before the example.
Yeah.
Unlike browser DOM elements, React elements are plain objects and are cheap to create, what is interesting. React DOM takes care of updating the DOM to match the React elements. Okay,
That's interesting.
we don't mess with the actual DOM. Everything we deal with is a React DOM. It's a representation, and if we add elements, it will take care of itself. Like it will take care of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, dokie. Note: one might confuse elements with a more widely known concept of components. We will introduce components in the next section. Elements are what components are made of. Okay. And we encourage you to read this section before jumping ahead. But I already see that the key elements of React are two things. For one, it's element, which is a smaller piece.
Yeah, you can like say that they are like atoms and components are like molecules that are some elements bunched together.
Okay, makes sense. I'm trying to write it down, but of course my pen doesn't work. Okie dokie. So let's see. A note. One might confuse. We already did it. So the rendering an element into the DOM. Let's say there is a div somewhere in your HTML file. Lucas, can you scroll it a little bit further?
Sorry.
Let's say there is a div somewhere in your HTML file. Okay, that is from our example, right?
Yeah, that's what we already did like earlier with those, where we also put like two React DOM.renders with different roots. I guess that's basically, yeah. We have an ID in our HTML, and that is like the root for this .render function. Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We call this a root DOM node because everything inside it will be managed by a React DOM. Okay. Application built with just React usually have a single root DOM node. This is okay. If you are integrating React into an existing app, you may have as many isolated root DOM nodes as you like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is really interesting, I think, because so you can have like some part of your website is like built with React, And the other part is static, for example, that you have most of your page is like a static site, but then you have one div that has like an ID that is like the root for a React DOM, and the rest of it is already pre-rendered, for example. Very interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely. I guess in our use case of building this community site with Next.js, we will probably go with multiple React DOMs or like root nodes.
Or we will have like we will have like 90% of the, let's say an event page is 90% pre-rendered, and then we have like the comment section for each event, which is then like rendered with React in the browser. The rest is like already pre-rendered on the backend.
Yeah, makes total sense. That it will have an amazing search engine optimization as well, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Because just to step a little bit aside, that all full React and whatever front-end JavaScript frameworks applications, they are pretty bad with search engine optimization. I don't know how far Google is right now. I'm sure they're rendering the pages now.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Well, in my experience, I nearly always choose static sites over front-end applications for SEO optimized content. And if I want to have like an application that really doesn't need to be SEO optimized, I just use a front-end application. Yeah. But it's great if we use Next.js and React.js together, because then we can choose if we want to like render this specific part on the back end, or if that's even possible, or render it on the front end, and so mix it together a bit.
Absolutely, we can take the best things out of the both like worlds, you know, of the static world with a great search engine optimization and speed, because once you fetched it, like it's also it will be on the CDN, the content, the static content, so it will be very quickly accessed. Everything what is static can be served like this. Everything what should be dynamic for end user probably should be done with JavaScript framework, right? Okay, let's continue now.
Okay, we already had that. Yeah, but let's maybe have we had this sentence. If you are integrating React into an existing app, you may have as many isolated root DOM nodes as you like. Applications built with just React usually have a single root DOM node.
Okay, yeah, but then
that's basically what we
it's exactly what you did just before, right? You created another div element, but what else? Like you assigned a different ID, and this is like a general rule. You cannot have the same IDs, I guess, right? You can, if you want to address a few elements at once, then you have to go with a class, I guess, a class property of a tag, but ID should be unique to a HTML element or tag. Okay, so what's the example above?
This?
Yeah, hello world.
It's just the hello world again.
Okay, it just shows how it renders specific, like retrieves one specific div with ID root and how it renders it. So it's very basic one. Okay. It displays hello world on the page. We did have it already, like at the beginning. Updating the rendered element.
Yeah.
That's getting interesting now.
Correct. Okay, I will read it now, okay?
Okay.
Updating the rendered element. React elements are immutable. Once you create an element, you can't change its children or attributes. An element is like a single frame in a movie. It represents the UI at a certain point in time. With our knowledge so far, the only way to update the UI is to create a new element and pass it to React DOM.render. Consider this ticking clock example. Yeah. Okay, I see that we have to.
Immutable is an interesting term I have to like get used to, because it means you cannot change it. It's like const versus variable, right?
Yeah, exactly. Somehow like that. Yeah.
Just a small modification to it. Immutable does not mean it cannot change. Immutable usually means that it is, if it is at the state at which it is expected, it is left alone. But if it's not at the state at which it is expected, it'll change it to that state for that one particular time.
Yeah.
Interesting. But do you have like a very simple explanation, like maybe a kind of analogy, like how it exactly works? Example, like an example which would demonstrate it.
So let's say you are starting up a service like Apache, right? So the first time you start it, it starts up. Started service already. The second time you start, the script will check whether it is started, and it'll say it's already started. I can't do anything about it. All it does is check, but its state is started.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Real quick, whether I confused you or not.
Yeah, it's in our case, it's I guess there is a difference between constant and immutable, but yeah, basically it's not what that our screen is like freeze and we can't change it anymore, but basically it means that once we send an update to our React DOM and send one React element to it, we can't change that because that's then immutable, and we have to send a new one to the DOM to change it. Is that maybe a little bit?
They actually have a immutable as a word. It's actually a reference to a Wikipedia page. What is, as the article name is immutable object.
Yeah.
Unchangeable object. So basically, yeah, it's when we talk about the state, it's exactly.
It's basically also what is a huge part of if you develop applications with Flutter, you also have the concept of immutable there, or they also call it final. Yeah. But yeah, it's a little bit difficult.
Yeah, it's a, I don't know if it's just a fancy word for unchangeable.
Yeah, it's basically that. Yeah.
At least Wikipedia says so, you know. But then it says like a full-blown article about it, which we are not going to definitely read, you know. But also thanks to Kameshwaran for his explanation. So we are talking about the state here, and the state is constant then in this regard. I don't know, but I will kind of try to memorize it as unchangeable.
Yeah. Basically, once we set React DOM.render, what we send here, this element cannot be changed after that. And we have to send a whole new element to React DOM.render to change what's on the screen. So
to this first argument, right? Like it will be.
If we would do something like
sorry, it's a second argument where you are going to render it. You are go on.
Important. If we have like this, we want to. Okay, we have. What it actually means is like we have our const element, then we send it to render, and then it renders it. And if we want to do something like that after that, then we do something
Then
else.
we have to send another another object there, right? Another element, let's say.
Yeah, basically like that.
To the same destination.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Destination here, yeah.
I think in the CLI, in the command line interface, they also use this kind of flow direction, that the arguments are streamlined from left to right, in a sense that on the left side you would have what should go where, and on the right, like the next element would be where to send it. Like it's exactly how we have it here, if I'm not like completely mistaken.
Yeah, like if we have here like that that element, and then we send it to the React DOM.render, and if we want to change that element after that, we can also, let's say, let, and if we change it after that, hello, you will see that it will just render hello world. That's basically what I understood from it. Can we somehow see that it renders?
Yeah, go on, Kameshwaran.
So could you try put in the React DOM.render and the document.element ID after the second one? So then it would take hello Karen, right?
I guess so, but we already like have a problem to print out the first one. So let's try to first get the first one to render. We will maybe simplify our example here.
Yeah.
Maybe try to render second one. Yeah.
We just have to wait a couple of seconds.
Is let allowed? I thought only var was allowed. I'm not used let a lot.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it as well. Like I don't know, but I'm not I'm not like your golden standard for programming either.
Yeah, maybe you just haven't used JavaScript.
That might be, yeah. Like I used it 15 years ago, and yeah, go on, Kameshwaran.
Element, I believe, should be in quotes, probably the H1.
No, because that's our JSX.
Yeah.
And those JSX don't need to be in.
It looks very wild. I'm with you, Kameshwaran. It looks
maybe
so
it
wild.
will work if I do just that. It doesn't work. Have we anything left in our?
Look at what you have broken there.
I don't know. It doesn't show me any like.
Replace let with const.
Okay, that works.
Now wait.
Doesn't do anything anymore.
Oh, you don't have to put semicolon there, right? Or like what is it?
No, because we have JSX, and again,
yeah,
not strings,
and then
not HTML. We have JSX here.
But then, should you put semicolon there or not? You can remove it then.
That was basically the whole last chapter, that we don't have to put.
But why it's there? Why is it there at the end of your var statement? You know.
I can, but I'm not obligated to. It shouldn't matter.
But it doesn't work. That's weird.
And I also don't get any like. Maybe I should like open a completely new new window. Let me just try React CodePen. So okay, I will share a completely new. Okay, something is wrong with my example. Const. Okay. again. This should work, and it works.
It works. Yeah.
Now let's call it let. Okay, we already, okay, it works. And if we put like something else here, you should see that once it's inside this React DOM.render, and even if you change it afterwards, it won't change like what is.
But then if you put another,
immutable.
if you render it again, what will happen?
Once you render it again, it should then update it. Because once you put your element or your React element inside this .render function, then it's immutable. But if you then change it and then put it again into this React DOM.render, it should re-render it. Yeah.
So I put in a link in the chat. It's from medium.com. And if you go to the second paragraph, I know Ansible a little bit, and that's why I always try to go back to it to refer for any actual things, what happens. And so in that, they give it exactly like what you just demonstrated, Lucas. That immutable means it cannot be changed. But if you do necessarily need to change it, it's not like a modification, but there is a special procedure to totally revamp it or something like that. So that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Should we continue with our with the chapter? And maybe that's already enough for today if we know what elements are and how to render them for today. Maybe.
And next week we will start with components, I guess, right?
Yeah, because that's maybe too much. That would be also another 2 hours.
Kameshwaran, go on. I see you.
So yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, I'm also reaching around 11, so I had to go do family stuff. So
sure.
But
we have like 12 minutes or so to end this chapter at least.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, let's race through it. Okay, I guess we now also understand how this works.
What is it? A set interval tick?
This is basically you set a timer that every 1000 milliseconds, every 1 second, it will rerun this function and therefore re-render what is.
Let's run it, Lucas. It looks so cool. It's taking some. Yeah, I'm just curious to see. It takes the date, the time actually, so we will have a ticking clock.
Yeah. Should be interesting.
And set interval is what? It's
set interval.
It's a JavaScript function.
Yeah, it's a standard JavaScript.
Standard JavaScript function. Okay, got it.
It sets an interval, and after that interval, the function gets run. The callback will be run.
So when we leave this chapter, we can set up a clock until the next meetup in 1 week. It will keep ticking until then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also good because we now have a timer.
Yeah. Which tab are you sharing right now? Because we can see only the tutorial right now.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to share this tab instead.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to share. Yeah. Okay, 9 minutes to go. Yeah.
Well, that's super cool. So every time it just ticks, it again renders the whole thing again. The whole DOM actually in our case, but again you can have different sections on a page, which will be updated, and other sections will not be touched. You know what is?
Yeah, that's really great.
With multiple DOMs, can we call it multiple DOMs? Because in my head, like DOM is only one.
But you have multiple virtual DOMs. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly like that. And yeah, it's really nice that they optimize it and only update what's necessary. Rect DOM compares the element and its children to the previous one and only applies the DOM updates necessary to bring the DOM to the desired state. You can verify by inspecting the last example with the browser tools. But yeah, we already have that here, so
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a lot of stuff under the hood which we don't have to take care about or like take care of. Like this all input, escapes and so on, cross-site stuff, and also optimized kind of update only where it's necessary. Very cool.
Yeah, but maybe we can also take a look under the hood if we are more advanced with React, because it's also very interesting. I've also looked through all the layers of the Flutter framework, and that's also very interesting to see. And I have a colleague with whom I always dissect one big application. Like last week, we a compiler for Python, and we looked at everything from the interpreter loop to parser and everything, and that's also maybe interesting for if we are more advanced with React to look under the hood.
Or more crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Kamesh, where I'm going.
Sorry, wanted to know how I always wanted to see how React actually worked. Is it you have to compile it with that Babel thing, or is can we just do React? Just go and open up a text editor and put that code in.
I guess that it mainly needs it for if you write more complex React, where you use JSX, what we dealt with in the previous chapter.
Oh, okay.
And that needs to be rendered to normal HTML and JavaScript, and also other features if you are using a more modern JavaScript in your code base, and then it compiles it, transcompiles it to a more compatible version that runs in all major browsers better. And I guess it's just bundling all the stuff together. And
right, I'm actually looking for this for a practical purpose, not just to learn for learn's sake or this thing. So
me too.
I'm just trying to look at frameworks like Vue. That's another the JS piece which is very popular nowadays. So to generate my own application on the web, I'm just trying to get a hands-on into something easier. I've never coded HTML by hand. I've always used something like Dreamweaver back in the day, or some other HTML coder tools. But is there another tool which you guys use for React and JSX, or is it all hand coded?
I also used Vue.js some time ago, but since then I mainly used I didn't have the use cases that I needed, huge interactive web applications. I mainly did application development with Flutter, mobile applications, or I don't know. I used, when I wanted to build interactive web applications, I used mostly vanilla JS if I wanted to do something very, very small. But once it got bigger, I used, for one application, I used Angular 1, which is 4 years ago or something like that. I don't remember anything. Or I also used a little bit of Vue.js, and I looked into Svelte. It's another alternative which doesn't use like a virtual DOM, but has built an API around the normal DOM with templates, and it's also very interesting. But we chose React because it also has the capabilities to not only work as a front-end framework, but to also be able to use it as kind of like a static site generator, and or as or pre-render pages on the back end. And that's a very interesting topic.
Okay. That is cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I guess we just have like 2 sentences left, and then we are.
Go for it, Lucas.
Even though we create an element describing the whole UI tree on every tick, only the text node whose contents have changed gets updated by React DOM. Okay, that's like self-explaining. In our experience, thinking about how the UI should look at any given moment rather than how to change it over time eliminates a whole class of bugs. Sounds fine for me.
Yeah. It seems like they took care of a lot of stuff which you don't have to think about anymore as a developer. Next live coding event.
Yeah, this will be next week, and we will.
Yeah, you know what? I'm
components and props.
I'm posting it right now into the chat. If you want to take part next week, we will continue with the components of React. And you can already register now. And Lucas, I guess it will be the same Google Meet URL, right?
Yeah, I will.
No need to change it like for every session.
No, I will. I guess I actually have also set like the calendar event where we are in.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
For recurring, and so it should work with the same.
Yeah, it's a series of stuff, but only we can see as invited people, and everyone else can attend it by just knocking on the door at the right time, on the right day. Okay, let's.
Do we have some feedback from other listeners? And
on the stream, there was some chat conversation going on, especially about GS6, but not much. And Manu also went from the stream to the call. And I think, oh, he already left, but he was there.
Arthur said that it was very interesting. And I thought it too, because we learned something new, and we will continue doing that. And
okay, so everyone, see you next time, next week. And we have about the Jamstack, we have an event coming up on Thursday. Is this right? It will be. We will have 2 speakers who will talk about different stuff related to Jamstack. One is the performance of the website, so this is really interesting, and another one is the API mesh, what is not less interesting, I would say.
Yeah, it's a little bit more advanced and totally different topic, but I'm also looking forward to it very much. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do some API development, so if you guys want, I can walk you through a basic, elements of an API management in terms of client secrets and how a life cycle of a product comes through.
It's a super interesting thing and very misunderstood in many cases.
I agree, and it's evolving with the plain client secrets and ID. Now we're going on to more into OIDC and authenticated APIs. It's developing really nice.
In our development of the website, which we are aiming to develop as a community website, we will sooner or later end up dealing with APIs. For now, it's a little bit too early, but because we wanted to mess a little bit with React and see how it works. After React, I guess we will deep dive into Next.JS, the framework which we are intending to use, which will generate static sites and distribute it on the CDN network. Amazing concept as well.
Yeah, and in theory, it should be a really easy thing to switch back and forth between React and Next.js, because we can just use the elements and components, and if we want to move them to the back end, then we do it. If not, we can move it to the front end, how we want to have them rendered. Yeah, it should be really, really nice. And we will, I guess, also write the APIs we are using ourselves. Yeah.
Very ambitious guy, this Lucas.
Yeah, that's my job. I have to.
It's interesting, right? I mean, I think we are blessed in that manner that we are able to work on something not mundane and still get paid for it too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
There's a different, interesting stuff as well. I mean, that's so exciting, and it's all the stuff we are dealing right now. It's up to date. It's like the modern technologies. What is really inspiring a lot.
And we don't need a mainframe or a mid-range computer anymore to do it.
Yeah.
We can do it in browser like most of the times.
I just recently started to use Gitpod, which is like basically VS Code with some super features, and it's basically a cloud IDE built around VS Code, and it runs in the browser. And maybe I will move all of my development stuff into the cloud. Maybe we could try it with this project if it's growing. It would be very interesting.
Is it paid or is it?
I guess it costs some. Like there is like a plan where it costs like €8 per 100 hours. $8. It's not that much. And maybe if there is also like an unlimited plan which costs like $20, and I guess if it's for commercial projects, it should be worth it. If it works fine. I'm just trying that out, and yeah.
That'll stop from shelling on a Mac or a high-end PC.
Yeah, and if you have like also a high-end computer and have 5 or more projects you're working on, and you can much more easily start with each one in the browser, then it's maybe also worth it. Yeah, and it can also be much more easy to like streamline your configuration if you have it in the cloud and don't every time have to set it up locally.
Exactly. That's what bugs me, and I was just even thinking around the collaboration. I mean, if we are going to do something like this, and we had a IDE which we could share, then instead of sharing screens, we could just do collaborative development.
That's really great. Yeah. Yeah, we really have to cover the topic of cloud IDEs much more in the future, I guess.
You guys looked at AWS Workspaces? That's something which I'm looking at right now.
Oh, I didn't hear of that one.
Yeah, that's something along the same lines. And Red Hat has a free thing called as Cloud Ready Console, CRC. Cloud Ready Console, but that is very focused only towards a console for their OpenShift development IDE and piece. But AWS Workspaces, these are two things which I was looking at. Really cool stuff. Especially to get productive and not spend time mucking around with which DLL is missing or why the Mac isn't installing anything. Yeah, not a fun topic.
Guess so.
But I'm signing off. But thank you guys so much. I'll definitely join next week.
And Thanks for joining.
Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, this is great, guys. Thank you for doing this. Cheers.
Cheers.
You are very welcome.
Yeah, we have like another from Mohan, and he said, "Inspired to set up a website on my own, get into the tutorial journey. However, nothing comes out of it fully. This community-based learning is really interesting." Maybe that's, yeah. If I also have it sometimes, if I learn on my own and don't have like a community that guides me and gives me a kind of framework to also regularly learn, it's, yeah, maybe it's a great opportunity for all of us to and work on that and learn a lot of stuff together.
Thank you, Lucas. Thanks, Karen. You've been so supportive. You continue to keep us engaged, and so I really, all we have to do is just join the sessions, get some insights, stay updated, and pick up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why we have a community here going on. And if you have any ideas whatsoever, what can be done, like sessions like this, maybe something what really strongly interests you or what you want to learn, and there are other people who would like to join you, it shouldn't be necessarily me or Lucas even, because our scope is also kind of limited to our interests. Maybe you will find like same-minded people.
As you maybe saw today, we are experts on this topic, and we just wanted to form a learning group. And
Right.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
nice,
And
because you give us that opportunity to discuss, freely and let you know. I think, Lucas, we all see. Honestly, I come from a sysadmin background, so it always intrigues me the other side, the developers, because they are the money generators and we are the cost center of the company. So
if I look at myself, I like my brain explodes if I have to do like sys administration or like all of the DevOps. So I'm hugely thankful for everyone who does the other side.
but it's always interesting because you stay closer to the company's objective, right? And we are always a cost associated. It's always the operations. So what actually fascinates me is like how you solve real world problems. Like you come up with some tools or dashboards, interactive, and the management is like, okay, this is what we are talking about. This is what. Now we keep telling, that it's a server, it's critical, you need to reboot. Like, boss, what are you doing? Why do you need downtime?
Yeah.
But don't call yourself sysadmin. Call yourself a DevOps engineer. It's like it's a completely like different image for the
Yes.
company owners and management. Now you're
Yes.
cool.
Yes, Karen, I like that.
Yeah.
And Karen and Lucas, what's your thoughts on SRE?
Mhm.
We keep hearing that a lot. You see some scope for
Site reliability engineer.
yeah.
It's a very hot topic and keep buzzword.
Right,
Probably something like close to DevOps, and then DevOps is close to sysadmin. At the end, it's you. Again, that's another cool name. Cool name for you.
Okay, Mohan, you want to hear my honest opinion about SRE?
Yes, good.
I once downloaded like this SRE book from Google and like made it through the half of the first page. And mostly I work on projects that aren't like big enough to need like many SREs or even
right.
DevOps. I like bootstrap most of the projects, and they are like in very small teams. So
Right.
I also didn't have like that many connections with SREs, and maybe this will be more in the future, and I'm really with people.
Right. Lucas, what's your thoughts? How do we develop that logic mind? When we talk about these constants, variables, I all get that. I grasp it. But the moment you bring in these loops and you bring in the for loops, the arrays, the dynamic setup, that goes beyond my head. I get lost. I don't know. And how do we decide what should be used for what?
I don't know. It's
It's like, see, how do you get that logical reasoning? How do we gain that?
I think you will get used to it. You have to start with simple things, and like there are even programming books for children, and they explain until loops. There is an until loop, until the
Right.
mother like keeps like whatever you can do this and that, and like
Yeah.
it's
Correct.
like very through the metaphor, through the analogy, like explaining how it works, like the
Okay.
machine
Sure.
procedures. But
Yeah.
once you get accustomed to this kind of concepts, you will keep it in mind like forever, because it's very like basic building blocks. And
Right.
when you will be thinking about the problem, you will be thinking, going through your head through this different kind of tool set which you learned. You have this
Yes.
tool,
Yes.
like
Correct.
20 tools like to use, and then you will see what fits better to this. And
Yeah.
this is like super important. This is what Google and other big tech companies are testing on this whiteboard interviewing process. And
Oh.
when you do this, when you interview with the companies, you have to not only just try to find a solution, you have to speak out loud, how you're thinking. They want to know the way you think, so that
Yeah.
it,
Right.
it should be like logical. You have to, as a programmer, you always have to think about the edge cases when
Correct.
the
Correct.
system can be broken, and
But
you have to consider this.
Yes, you're
generally,
right, Kevin.
Mm.
I I always compare programming languages to natural languages like English or any other language, and
Oh, okay.
it's basically you have to learn some constructs like sentence structures. You have like that you have to just learn, and then you put them together and it just works somehow. And
Hmm.
if you like are new to a normal language, you write a sentence and then you go over it and over it and over it and over it until it's somehow a working sentence. And it's also
Right.
with programming. You start with a early version that may be buggy and doesn't really do what you want, and then sometime later you go over it and you iterate on it until you have like a really good code that works and does what you want.
Hmm.
And
Good.
it's
So keep
it's for
keep
me.
practicing, right? Make it repetitive. Keep it doing on a daily
Yeah,
basis, right?
and what I do is also I read a lot of source code from other people. I
Oh, okay.
and I just read through code and try to see what they do there. And that's basically, yeah, it's just like reading if you're reading English or something, and it should
Right.
that level that you just understand other people's code. And sometimes when you see something new, you need a little bit time to understand it, and after you understand the concept, and then you can use it yourself. And yeah, that's also very interesting. Just see it
Yes.
as a
Thanks.
language that you have to learn. And the good thing is it is much, much, much more simple than natural languages. So yeah, keep that in mind. It's not that difficult compared to normal languages. And I mean, JavaScript has like 30, 30 words, and English has like a vocabulary of like hundreds of thousands of words. So it
Right.
isn't there is an end of the tunnel. Yeah.
You're right, Lucas. That's a new way of looking at it. Then, yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you too for joining in.
Oh no, Lucas, I would suggest you to please, Karen. Let's continue this. This is very interesting. I want to see by end at least we have a. I try to build a website of my own. Uh, though it is a kind of just a beginning. But I think please, I sincerely request you to keep this going.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Thank you.
with this session, you can really become a very demanded programmer because what you're learning here is React, and it's a mixture of React and Next.js. Is a top notch, like it's a top notch
State of the art
technology.
technologies.
Yeah, and there are like if you just want to simply put together an HTML page, like a home page, like one pager, like as your resume or whatever, there
Right.
are way simpler ways to do this. You can do it like a very simple way. You can grab a template somewhere, like one pager template, replace this text with your name and all your stuff, and you can push it on GitHub as a GitHub page. That's it. That's you don't need much, But here we are trying to understand and grasp how this like modern, like absolutely top-notch technology works. And I hope really if we learn these two technologies, we can become like superheroes. We can build like another level of projects together. And
Yes.
this is where we want to
See,
go.
I want to do something for the community here. I come from Bangalore, India. You know how is the penetration of IT here? It's way too less. We all work for the US or European companies, but not much happens at the local community. Or there's a lot of. I think this is a very good initiative because we could start building websites or some small web e-commerce site, because I think this is absolutely fantastic. We get that power to build the sites
Yeah.
and configure it, because we always know, I come from that background. We only know how to support or manage, where I don't think on the lines of creating a solution. So this opens up the other side of it.
Yeah. I mean, India is a huge emerging market. Why not
Right.
do something for that local market? It's
Yes,
really
we hardly have any websites for the local shops or all